here we go. It is Wednesday night, or Wednesday night. I guess it is. It's Wednesday night in the UK. It's our UK call. We're very, very honored to have Judy MacDonald join us out of Alberta, Canada, out of Calgary. If you know anything about Canada and the Calgary, that's where they have the Calgary Stampede. Judy is a really, really great gal. Okay, she hosts the Tuesday calls for the Canadian group up there. She had a wonderful call last night. She's a wealth of knowledge. And can share some information with you about what she came here, what she saw, why it brought her here, and what she's been able to accomplish. She has a very significant business, a large business, because of the product and her ability to share what the business is. So, Judy, thank you for taking the time to be with us here on this UK Wednesday call.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you, Keith.
So let me ask you, Judy, when I know you were a traditional business, so I know you were a Teamster as well.
That's right. I was in the Teamsters Union. I dealt with the grievances.
With grievances, no less.
Yeah, nothing but complaints all day long and trouble.
So let me ask you, so when you started, so you had background in that. So I can't imagine. I mean, so every day was it was like being at the complaint department at the doctor, at the hospital or something, right?
You got it.
Complaints all day long. And then you went from that, and then you went into the nutrition world, and you had a nutrition store, right?
Yes, I had three clinics in Calgary, and it was for a diabetic program for weight loss. So I had that for 6 years.
And then somebody wandered into the clinic, right?
Well, my main product in my traditional business was whey protein. But what it was is they had developed chocolate bars and soups and all this yummy stuff out of whey protein as part of the weight loss protocol. And so when a gentleman came along and told me there's a whey protein that, raises your immune system, I basically told him to get lost, because being in the whey protein business, there is some benefit to all whey protein. We understand that. But the benefits that he was trying to convey to me did not sound like anything real to me. So that started in April of 2015. And by the time July 31st of 2015, I was all in.
So he did do a good job of explaining that Immunical is humanized milk serum protein isolate.
No. What I did in my spare time, I go, why is this guy bothering me all the time? Why does he insist that this stuff is good? And so I said, what is the name of it? Leave it with me and let me Google. And so what I did in my off time is I started researching, and I went, wait a minute, there's something going on here, but I still didn't quite capture what it was, because it's true. It's like when someone comes along and makes these grandiose promises of this product doing, raising your immune system, helping you with all these diseases, you're like, this doesn't sound right. So by the time I did my homework from April to July, I said, look I'm going to try this stuff. Tell me what I need to do. I had my own issue that was starting, which was osteoarthritis. I always say God intervened in this whole thing with me, business-wise, product-wise, health-wise, because I was a running fool, I call it. I had 3 clinics, employees, leases, and I'm 58 years old and I'm running around like a crazy woman, right? And it's not playing good on my health. I'm starting to get arthritis. I'm tired. I'm worn out. And I started the product myself. Well, shoot, in 3 months, I had a complete 180 turnaround. So why I say I was blessed with my health, I was just at the beginning stages of osteo. I was starting to get the stiff joints, but I had one big node on one of my fingers that was really starting to blossom. Let's call it that. And in 3 months, it was shrunk and no reoccurrence since then. So that got my attention. Then I started sharing it with some of my customers. One of my customers was suffering from depression. I said, you know what? You should give this stuff a try. She gave it a try, got an amazing result. Now, this is a woman whose husband is a pharmacist. So you can imagine the opportunity she has for all the cures with pharmaceuticals, and nothing worked. She gets on Immunical and the same result, 3 months. She's like, Judy, little did I know that her husband, the pharmacist, had his own issues. He had like a form of fibrosis in his lungs. And he would have to lay down on the living room floor, she said, and she would pound on his back to loosen up the mucus. He tried it, same result. It's a 90-day miracle, I call it. 3 months later, and he goes, this is unbelievable. Now the pharmacist is having trouble concentrating on what he's doing for work. Can you imagine?
Well, because Judy delivered this gift from God, as we know, of Immunical. And what we talk about is Immunical works every time, given time. And the point is let people know about it, right, Judy?
And the story gets better. If I have a moment just to tell one more story. So
Absolutely.
My girlfriend, this is my girlfriend, her husband's in kidney failure. He's in dialysis. He's lined up for a transplant. And I said, Carol, maybe Ken should give this a try. She says, what is it? I said, well, it's glutathione. She goes, glutathione? She goes, we've been seeing this naturopath and he's been giving him glutathione, but nothing's happening. And I said, well, why don't you give this a try? Same result. So Ken, there's a committee in Canada, and it's called CAN4. Let me think of the word. It's a committee for people that have kidney issues, and it's a board in Canada. He was invited to the board, and I'll tell you why. He was deemed the healthiest transplant dialysis patient in Canada. He was riding his two-wheeled bicycle to dialysis. And Ken said, Judy, if you've ever seen dialysis, it's like sitting on death row. And here he comes in on his bicycle's not in the room, of course, but here he is walking in and he's like on fire. So he actually got put on this committee. I'm sorry, I can't recall the name right off the top. But here's the thing. He got his life back. He was able to hunt. He's a hunter. He'd go in the bush. They go 26 days out, so many, in so many days out. He'd come out, do dialysis and go back. He said, I couldn't even lift a rifle, never mind hunt. So, I mean, this is my friend, right?
Well, Judy, isn't that where we all start? We talk about our family and friends. And look, our family
Yeah.
are going to be the ones that challenge it the most. That's why we always talk about, look, it's a 90-day wonder. It's a wonder if I can keep you on it for 90 days. But here's how this works. I got myself what I call my porcupine suit. Okay, so if you don't want me to throw quills at you, take it for 90 days. And if you don't love it, we'll talk about it then. And that's what they do, Judy, is with that. So Judy, but the business side of this is interesting. You even recruited Elvis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my Elvis impersonator friend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. He's really good.
He really is really good. Yeah.
So give him a little insight into Don.
Well, how did I meet Dawn? Okay, this is what happens to the family tree. So the pharmacist has a sister who's a retired nurse. She captures this and she's just a runaway. She just can't believe it either. And one of her husband's cousins is Elvis, his wife, his husband. He's related to her husband. So they get in the game. And so these two people are entertainers and they're not young, like they're not old, but they're not young. And they're staying up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because when the gig's over, you just don't go to bed, right? And, hearing their story is amazing because they said without Immunical, without all the other supplements that we sell, they said, I don't know how we do this.
Right. So no, Don Helfig is a great guy. He's an Elvis impersonator, and he's really good. So it's a thing that's there. So Judy, where do you see the business going? And we've been in Canada and in the U.S. for 28 years. Okay, where do you see the business going here, and what do you think the opportunity is for the people that are over in Europe?
Well, the one thing about Europe is that they're already open to this type of let's just put it out there. Their lifestyle is a lot more healthier than ours in the US, in Canada. And so they're open to this type of product, wide open. But you know, I just want to go back for a minute. Before we talk about Europe, I want to talk about the US and Canada. And why I want to take a minute and talk about that is we always say that, you know, nobody knows about it and, you know, nobody's ever heard of Immunical. That is complete garbage. And I'll tell you why. I come against so many people. I'll give you an example. Glenda Savard, she has art, she's from Calgary. She has artwork in the Louvre in France. She makes a living with her artwork. She has lupus. She couldn't paint. She started on Immunical through me. She started to paint again. Okay, so you can look her up. Her name is Glenda Savard. Okay, so here's the thing. I said, Glenda, you got to get on this. Try this. She gets an amazing result. She goes into her doctor in Calgary. You won't believe this story. This is amazing. She goes into her doctor and the doctor says, whoa, Glenda, you're doing much better. What are you doing? And she says, well, I'm taking Immunical. Remember when Immunical was called HMS 90? Okay. That same doctor was selling HMS 90 to the Calgary Stampeders, which is our city football team. Okay, the CFL. How can we say and keep thinking that the world doesn't know about this product? You know why the world doesn't know? Is because we lack this. We stop talking, right? And I don't know why we do that. And I'm guilty of it as well. So Europe, I just can't imagine what's going to happen in Europe, because it might start as a spark, just a spark, because it's going to be a while before they really start to acknowledge this, because Europe has a reputation of being jaded by products. And but once they see our product is not like the rest, I think the opportunity is too much for the mind. That's my opinion.
Well, thank you, Judy. So before we bring Jeffrey on here, we've got Dr. McTavish with us here as well. So anything you want to bring here before I bring Jeffrey in?
No, I'm excited to see Jeffrey because he's so dynamic and he's so animated. I love watching him.
Absolutely. So, you know, once again, thank you, Judy. I mean, and once again, the recordings that Judy does of the Canadian call on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, and it's in the WhatsApp group there, and then they're reposted there as well if you're on. So if you want to access those, and then we occasionally are honored to be able to grab those videos and take a segment of it. It is up on my YouTube channel from last night. So her video last night with Alan.
If I can say one more thing, and I am encouraging everyone to come on these calls, because if you want to get fired up in your spirit with this company, and if you want to get others in your life fired up about this, you've got to hear the stories from the actual people from their own mouths. It's unbelievable what this product can do. It really is.
And Judy's done an awesome job every Tuesday night doing that, and we're able to put those up there. So Jeffrey, I see you made it back from the pub, dude.
Ah, no, no, I'm afraid I wasn't at the pub. No.
Oh, not yet. Okay. All right.
No.
So how are you there today in good old London town?
Well, I'm on the south coast, so I'm in Worthing. It's a little bit more, well, you can't get any further. The sea's right in front of my house, so it's been a lovely day. And I have a really good special friend here called Dr. Anna here. Now, she's a dentist who I've known since 2015, I think it was, Anna. And we're going to talk a little bit about, she's a dentist, holistic dentist, registered with the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. So there's certain protocols that she does to implement being biologically sound with patients. And so what we want to just talk about is how glutathione is very good at being able to do so many things in the body. Now, Judy said something that I thought was really great, and that would be the fact that there's so much information about what glutathione can do in the research, and you can just go to PubMed and punch up whatever you like to punch up, and then find out some correlations with what glutathione can help with. And every condition that we come across is really what we're trying to do is increase people's health paradigm. And, you know, we have a lifespan and we have a health span. And the health span is the first thing we need to address, because the lifespan could be a little bit further, but we may not have the health to be able to enjoy that lifespan. And one of the key things that we need to look at is glutathione, because glutathione is ubiquitous. We need it for almost every exchange in our body physiologically. And I would say probably quantum physiologically as well. So last time we talked a little about, we had Miriam on, and we talked a bit about detoxification pathways in the body. So detoxification is mainly in the liver, and it's really looking at how we get rid of bad guys that we either ingest from the our environment that we are exposed to, so exogenous and endogenous, things that are inside our body. And we need to make sure that we get a homeostasis, a nice platform of health. And this is where glutathione comes in. And so what I thought Dr. Anna would do would be able to, from a dental point of view, looking at how, and she's also a nutritionist, by the way, she's a nutritional dentist in the Brighton area, and a very clever girl, and I highly respect her. And I just want to ask if she could just explain the indications where she would be looking at detoxification pathways, how Immunical will help, because we need to look at glutathione levels. What are sort of the contraindications? Is there anything else that we need to add to that? Also, there are also some physiological problems in people that sometimes can't detoxify through the systems that they have. So you could be looking at somebody who can't put together the amino acids to make glutathione. They have some sort of a snip. Yeah.
So before anything, thank you, Jeffrey, for inviting me. Good evening to everyone. So like Jeffrey said, I'm a dentist that works with a holistic approach, and I'm also a nutritional therapist, and I try to put together all these fields when I support my patients. And Immunocal came into my journey when I talk about detoxification with my patients, and that's something I talk a lot because a lot of patients come to me because they want to remove amalgam fillings, and we want to do it in a safe way. So like Jeffrey said, we are exposed to toxins all the time. And one of the toxins would be heavy metals, where mercury plays a role. But the amalgam fillings contain mercury, and it will be minimally a minimal release of mercury when someone has an amalgam filling, or even if someone eats a lot of fish, because fish as well contain heavy metals. But it's exactly when the dentist is drilling the amalgam filling, when the patient and obviously the staff, so the dentist and the dental nurse, will be highly exposed to mercury particles. So detoxification plays a big role here, because suddenly you will be highly exposed to toxins. And Immunocal it's part of my protocol to support patients, how they can do it through supplements alongside a good diet and as well a good lifestyle, how they can detoxify. Now, Jeffrey kind of asked to talk about quite a lot of things. He asked, for example, when would be a contraindication about detoxification? Was it what you said, Jeffrey?
If somebody has the inability to detoxify, there may be some SNPs in their genetic makeup that they can't do it, whether it's path 1 or path 2. And also the
Yeah,
fact the inability to put together the amino acids to actually formulate glutathione.
yeah, but it could be because of quite a lot of things, isn't it? Could
Yeah.
be because they potentially cannot do it because the building blocks are not there, and glutathione is great to help with that. But can be because the body is struggling because it's highly toxic, because the toxic load is very high. So I think one of the very important things, and I have this decision one-to-one with my patients, I try to find out where is the toxic load of each person. So there is a toxic quiz, we do talk about it, and then we individually decide how much they need help with the detoxification. So one of the number one things, and you know that I follow that, is that I always believe detoxification should go slow. You should never create a crisis. Okay? If you create a crisis, you already did too far away. That's my opinion. And I believe it might be some practitioners on the group that might disagree with me, and they have hold the right to disagree, but I do believe we should go slow. Okay? So if we create a crisis, you need to step back. And that's why sometimes I need to decide how fast I can go with amalgam removals. And now let's start slow. If patients are right, you might could do more than once per session. So imagine if they have more than one amalgam filling in each quadrant, you might can do a full quadrant in one session, and it avoids that they come back. But this is decided one-to-one with each patient. So I don't know really if I answer your question, but it's very much dependent of each person and where is their toxic load, and depending of their ability as well to detoxify. And I would always go slow and always supporting their detoxification pathway. So you need to know if they have good bowel movements, if they have good hydration, and bring alongside other things they can use for detoxifying, alongside using immunocal and even potentially other binders or chelators. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that absolutely 100%. You have to have a level playing field where you need to look at what's happening. And I think with this in the United States and in Canada and over here in Europe, we can do tests to find out the different 3 levels of mercury that's in your body if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's also other toxification pathways that are challenged, and seeing things like hormones and other things like this, you know, taking the birth control and all this other stuff that goes on, and everything that's in the environment. So by just either having a mercury tri-test, which you can do, or a overall toxicity load that's on the liver, or you could be looking at also the ability for your mitochondria to regenerate. So there's quite a few things there that you can use as test, as a marker to find out where your glutathione levels are. Now, also, the other thing with that is that in the mix, in order to make glutathione, we're also missing a few ingredients for that whole thing to happen. And one of the simplest things is getting selenium in our system. And I think it helps with glutathione peroxidase. Am I correct on that?
Yes, it is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need, and you can do these if you find that somebody wants to test the levels of glutathione. You look at glutathione reductase, and glutathione peroxidase. And these are the various enzymes that help recycle glutathione.
Yeah, you can do an active test. And I often use something like, so it's a nutritional test actually, but you find out about your mitochondrial, other antioxidants. So you can do like organic acid test, a urine test actually, that you can do very easily. So functional tests definitely have a place to know where the patient is regarding detoxification, regarding their toxic load and their ability to detoxify. And you can find out about specific nutrients, obviously, that are key for all the detoxification pathways. Yeah, you assume if you, so for example, I'm going again back to the amalgam fillings, but not everyone that needs detoxification has amalgam fillings, but it plays a big role. If you do a heavy metal test, like you said, the 3 tests, like for example with Quicksilver, where they test urine, blood, and hair, most
Yeah.
likely you will accuse mercury in your body. And if you eat fish, is again the same thing. So that helps to monitor. Then if you do a detoxification, or if you follow a detox protocol, you remove your amalgams, you repeat the test, it helps you to see how further down you went with your heavy metals. So the functional tests are always helpful to help to see, but you will possibly see that with your general health. And I see that regularly with my toxic quiz, where I give it before we start treatment, and then 6 months later after we remove the last amalgam, and then patients repeat it again, and they say, oh, actually, oh, I'm not feeling any more that, I'm not feeling that. And it can go from digestive to respiratory, can be for emotions, can be all kinds of systems, and suddenly they feel, oh, I'm feeling much better. So yes, functional tests, there is a place for that, and it's definitely a good way to identify potential deficiencies of systems that are not working well, and then you can do a much more, so you can help through diet and potentially supplements, and again, immunocal would play a big role here.
Yeah, and that's just so true. We can use as a marker to find out where the person is, but also at the same time, if you're looking at it from another side of the coin, is that if they're not progressing with the functional tests, then we know we're dealing with somebody who's got a SNP, which is a single nucleotide polymorphism, which means it's a mistake in the DNA replication. That's basically what that means. And then what we're looking at now is how can we fix that cycle? And sometimes it's very specific. And I would say also it's probably not only nutritionally specific, but vibrationally specific, and also may have a knock-on effect with the oscillation frequencies of the imbalances of different light frequencies and how they affect the cell. But that's going beyond what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, as you said, you can potentially support the SNPs with giving so you give the end products of the pathway. So for example, you might need to give methylated vitamins that are much easier to absorb straight away through your system. So it takes away the hard work of your body going to the end product. So you kind of give already the final product to the body. But like you said, it is so important. You might need to work at different levels, not only with nutrition. And more I see that with my patients. They are already doing so well with diet and lifestyle, but they are still not there. And why is that? Because there are still quite a lot of blockers going on there. It can be emotional traumas, or can be, I just don't want to go so, but can be unhappy jobs, unhappy relationships. So you need to work in different levels with patients to make them strive and go to a much better result regarding health. So sometimes working, were you really talking about emotional work, or what was exactly what you were trying to say?
Well, certainly emotional work works on a different frequency, doesn't it? And one of the things that I want to find out, and I don't think we have the technology yet, but I think we do, is I know that glutathione stimulus is ultraviolet light, particularly infrared and near infrared light, after doing a little bit of research. So we know that morning sunshine is very specific in increasing your ability for your body to be able to connect those 3 molecules to make glutathione. Very, very important. Get out in the sunrise and be as openly naked as you can, because of the fact that you want to have the skin. And here's the key. The skin and the brain are part of a embryonic symbiotic tissue called neuroectoderm. So this is why I've got these glasses on. I should really be protecting my arms and things because of the blue light coming from this screen. My body will absorb that, and it will decrease so many different physiological systems in our body that we really need to be aware of that. And what Anna's saying is that we'd have to look at person's lifestyle when we're talking about why there's no change or inconsistencies within data when we're getting some tests done, when we're trying to get somebody better and nothing's happening. One of the biggest things we're looking at is light EMF and EMS from radio frequencies like these things. So
Yeah.
all of these things have a tremendous amount of effect on our cell membranes and our cellular function, which means that it's going to have an effect on how we can produce levels of glutathione. Remember, glutathione is required for every cell. The more stress that goes into that cell, the more glutathione we need. Now, it's been proven that we reduce our glutathione levels by the age of 30, it starts to go down. Boop, 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 boop. It's like going downstairs. And you need to prop it up. And the best way to prop it up that we know, because scientifically this has been proven, is to look at how Immunical can be able to do that. Whether it's going to be going to the dentist so that you want to get all the mercury and the metals out of your mouth, whether it's going to be from a point of view of you don't want to see metal when you smile, or the fact that you know you've got metal in your body and that that mercury has a profound effect on brain function later on. And that's a wholly different subject. And then the other thing would also be is that we've got to make sure that we address the levels and the more stress that we have living in the environment that you're living in. So Keith being in LA, there may be a lot of chemtrails that are going through, so there may be a lot of chemicals coming from there. Or if you're living in a big city like London, you've got a lot of EMFs, you've got considerable amount of pollution. And these things are not only our skin take in, but we breathe in and it goes through our eyes and it creates this tremendous stress in our systems physiologically and could affect, and I would probably say, maybe Anna, you could probably say different, but it would probably have affected the biodynamics of if you've got amalgam fillings in the mouth that are leaking a mercury or a cadmium, whatever type of metal that they got in there, that they can possibly perpetuate the adverse effects of those elements already in your mouth that you thought were normal 30 years ago.
Yes, yes. Again, you said so many important things. So it's one of the things I tell to my patients to be exposed to sunlight. There is nothing like getting the sunlight signal directly on our brain. There is more and more functional medicine doctors that instead of prescribing medication, they just say, no, go outside, embrace a tree, get the sunlight, because you know, it's all these pathways that suddenly start to work because suddenly you get the right signal to your brain and things start to work. So definitely, yes, get your sunlight inside. Another really good positive is you get your vitamin D, and vitamin D is kind of important for all kinds of systems, including your immune system, and it's directly affecting your teeth. Now, again, on my field, because you need your vitamin D to absorb your calcium. So it's not unusual that I see patients, I see these every day, honestly, and the ones that I lucky enough to convince them to get tested, it's always the same thing. They get TKs because they are deficient of vitamin D. Most of the times it's a combination of reasons. It's not only because they didn't brush teeth or have a poor diet, because we know plenty of people don't brush teeth and still get and don't get TK. So there are so many things here that will be contributing for good health or poor health, isn't it? So yeah, your detoxification works always optimized if you run in the parasympathetic system. So if you are not stressed. So if you are stressed, and that's a common thing because we are all busy and have a busy lifestyle with work, family, and this and that, potentially your ability to detoxify will be much lower.
And also to assimilate glutathione as well.
Correct. So your ability to produce glutathione will be even less possible.
Challenging, yeah, for the system.
Yeah, it will be much more challenging. And with age as well. So as you get older, that ability will be even impaired because of that as well.
Yeah, just aging itself is a need for more glutathione. Tell me something. Have you ever used or prescribed glutathione or Immunical on people's gums or the intraoral tissue?
Yeah, it is a good point. Yes. So not only for amalgam removals, it has a place for all kinds of things, including gum disease, because gum disease, again, very often shows a metabolic syndrome, a metabolic problem going on, and very often is related with the insulin resistance, high inflammation, eventually nutrient deficiency, again, where there is a place again for the immunocal to support your gum health. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing would also be is that in the dental world, a lot of toothpaste contains fluoride.
Yeah. That's a
Big
very, very
topic.
tricky one.
So
because,
what
yeah.
my question would be is, how does glutathione impact on fluoride uptake in the cells? I don't know. I've actually never looked at it, but I just thought that question out.
Well, that's a tricky one, yeah. But let's make it like fluoride can be a toxin, and it
Well, it is a
can
toxin.
affect directly your thyroid and your pituitary gland.
Yeah.
And some people will be more affected to that than others. So fluoride should never ever be ingested. So obviously, if you ingest, will be increasing your toxic loads. How does it affect on the pathway of the glutathione? To be honest, I'm not sure.
Either do I. I think that's a good topic to actually
It's a good
explore.
topic if someone wants to do the research, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be a good one to explore because it affects everybody who uses toothpaste with fluoride. And in the 60s, I remember them putting fluoride on my teeth going, oh, it's going to strengthen your teeth.
60s only. Well, until much later, they stopped doing it now, but because no one ever actually gave a good explanation why it stopped, but obviously it was because they realized it was toxic.
Yeah, there you go. So Anna, I'm so grateful for you to come on. I know your time is precious because you're in the throes of setting up your own clinic and we're going to get together. And Anna and I always wanted to have a clinic together, but just never worked out. But she's getting her place in Brighton, just down the road from me. And she's invited me to come over and have a look and see if I can come in there and be part of her team. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that and being able to come up with some sort of plan where we can work together, because I think we inspire each other, because when I first met her, I thought I was going to have a 30-minute conversation with her. It turned out to be 3 hours because we were singing from the same song page. It was just really great. And I'm just so delighted you came on tonight to have a chat to everybody. And I know your time is precious. And we're just coming up to 45 minutes. Keith, I'll hand the call over to you, sir.
You guys, the two of you don't get to run away yet. No, I'm sorry. Okay. So, Dr. Anna, if you're looking at this, good dental care, you should have your teeth till you're 85 or 90, and only if you're going to live to 85 or 90. I think 100, if you're going to be 100, be a good time to still have your teeth. So how important is it to get children using Immunical early on for good dental care?
How hard? Oh, gosh. Well, it depends. It's not like I would suggest Immunical for every single child, but the ones that you can see that are struggling with nutrition and so on, there is definitely a place for that. Yeah.
Can I add a caveat to that? I was listening to a podcast today about spectral disorders, and a child that was, I think, 2 or 7, I can't remember, and they were constantly screaming. The parent never slept because the child just kept screaming, and somehow they got glutathione into this child, and it changed everything. And I'm just wondering, can we then, if somebody has a fluoride-free toothpaste and then dip it into Immunical Classic and then brush their teeth with that, is that one good way of being able to deliver the constituents to make glutathione?
It's possibly a possibility. I don't. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, it's an idea.
Yeah. It's an idea, and oral mucosa is a exceptional way of absorbing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So why not? Yeah.
I know back 28 years ago when we started with Immunotech, people would take their Immunical packets and they would keep them, and then when they brushed their teeth, they would moisten their toothbrush after they finished brushing and rinsing, and then put that on the toothbrush and rub it on their gums, and their gums stopped bleeding. So it was really very, very interesting with that. Judy MacDonald, you got questions? We're going to bring you back first, my darling.
You know what? I have to circle back because I hate putting something out there that I can't finish. And I did that earlier. So I just wanted to leave you on this thought. You know, what is our role with Immunotech? We're all on the product. We're all selling the product. But we want to make an impact is really what we want to do. And here's the significance of being on this product. It's not the product. It's the person that's taken the product that sells it, right? And their results. So here's what happened to Ken, my kidney friend. They're on 2 committees in Canada, KTAC, which is the Kidney Transplant Advisory, and they're also on CanSolve. This is a committee to help people overcome chronic kidney disease. This is the impact that Immunical made in that community. Does that make sense? They are now being able to influence other communities because of the result he got with this product. That, to me, is what we're all about.
Well, thank you, Judy. Thank you, Dr. Jeffery. Thank you, Dr. Anna. And you guys want to hang on here. We're going to go to our friend John Salter because he has a special announcement for you guys. Take it away, my friend.
Hey, everybody. Well, hey, great call. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I just want to tell you all, we put a little challenge out for this call. I have 20 plus people, and we did. So I reached out to John Molson. For those of you not familiar with John Molson, he was one of the 3 founders of Immunotech. He's been with this brand now for almost 30 years, believe it or not, since the first business was developed, the merger of a couple of companies. John is a Molson. For those of you in Europe and Canada, he's a household word. In Europe, perhaps not, but his family are the owners of the Molson Brewery Company, located in Montreal, 7th generation brewers. His son is hopefully going to be a National Football League player this year. He just completed a season in the United Football League, which is owned by The Rock, the actor. And hopefully he'll be on an NFL roster. That's neither here nor there, but he's been an Immunical user. To the last question to the doctor about children using the product. JJ's been using the product since he was a baby, and now he's a professional athlete. So, a lot of good reasons to use the product. But anyway, John is our research ambassador. When you see research done by Immunotech, whether it's through Orico, whether it's through Pasteur, whether it's through the German Cancer Institute, whether it's through a multitude of other places, somewhere in that food chain was John Molson. Whether it was dealing with the scientists, whether it was dealing with the study being published, dealing with the FDA here in the United States, dealing with Health and Welfare Canada up in Canada. The guy's got a multitude of skills. So we're going to have that call. Now, I'm going to ask you all a favor. You need to load that call up. If you're here in North America, get people on that call. If you're over in England or Europe, I know we've got people on from Spain today as well. Let's load this call up. Let's get at least 50 people to show up for this call. And I know it's the middle of the day here in North America, but you've got prospects that need to hear from John. You've got distributors that certainly need to hear from John. Every call John does, business goes up. So you have a financial reason to get people there. They hear John Molson, it just makes so much sense to them, and they're all in. So we will do that call, Keith, if you will provide the flyer for that. Let's get that flyer around, and let's get everybody on the call, past distributors, present distributors, more importantly, future distributors, and of course, product users, because it'll be heavily on the product. I think the second half, Dr. Jeffery, if we can go back to you and your team to do the kind of the medical end. John can't make claims. He's not a doctor, but he certainly can give a lot of information that perhaps you can follow up on with any or all of the doctors that you care to participate. I'll leave that up to you, Jeffrey. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you're excited about it. This was a great call. I learned a lot as always. And thank you all for doing it. Thank you, Judy. Thank you to the 2 great doctors. And thank you to the old man in California for hosting the call.
And just so everybody knows, I put a link in the chat. That is to a video with John Molson with Italian Souza out of Bermuda that was done on the 3rd of June. Give you a little idea of what you're going to hear, as well as also in chat is the link to the video from Judy from last night with Alan. So with John, you get all the science. With Judy, you get all the heart. Okay, from the videos. You know, and that's what our business is about, is doing that. Judy, final thoughts as we tell everybody goodbye. You can unmute yourself.
I've only got one thought. We're trying to build our call up to 100 people on Tuesday night. So invite everybody you can and hear some amazing testimonials and sell some more product.
All right, everybody, you can unmute yourself. You got anything you want to say, comments, questions before we head out here? We appreciate you all being here. Dr. Anna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the wisdom that you shared with us today.
Great stuff.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
host.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
great day. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night.